China's economy is going deeper into stagnation, marking nearly 4 years now of slow growth. How long will the famously rebellious Chinese people put up with it? Last week, China reported a slew of disappointing numbers, so retail sales, industrial production, and investment all missed, while China's years-long housing slump continues despite massive government handouts. This all leaves the one bright spot as exports, which China is currently dumping into America and Europe at a pace that is already eliciting a potential trade war. If Donald Trump wins, of course, that goes into hyperdrive. So first, the numbers. Chinese retail sales came in about half their typical pace of growth and are still about 20% below pre-COVID trend. Car sales and bank credit contracted. Those are both standard indicators, and foreign investors keep pulling out of China. Meanwhile, Chinese firms are reporting weaker orders, weaker revenue, and slimmer profit margins. Now, this is all striking given the Chinese government had been dumping cheap credit into the economy, including into infrastructure spending on roads to nowhere, on bridges to nowhere, indeed empty cities smack dab in the middle of nowhere. In short, the only bright spot in China right now is what they can export, while the other 80% of the economy is dragging. The problem at this point is major export destinations, so the US and Europe, are now pushing back against the flood of Chinese imports. Europe just slapped 38% tariffs on Chinese-made electric vehicles, with much more on the way. So what's next? Brought to you by Unchained.com. The Chinese public is not used to stagnant numbers, and they won't make a dent in China's army of unemployed young people, which soared to a new record last year before the government simply stopped reporting the number. Now, China could very easily turn things around. They had managed decades of double-digit growth as the government let free enterprise rip. But President Xi Jinping is not cut out for letting go. In fact, his instinct is when things go south, he reaches for more control, China's COVID lockdowns being the poster child, meaning lackluster growth may be the new normal in China. Indeed, it could get worse. If that's the case, if Beijing's given up on growth, then we will see whether the famously restive Chinese people put up with a corrupt police state that is no longer putting chickens in their pots. There are hundreds of riots and near riots every year across China that simply don't get reported. China censors them. The ones that do leak out are pretty nasty, including entire villages rising up against corrupt property theft or depositors rising up against banks that run out of money. In one case last year, they actually brought out the army to drive tanks around the bank until the protesters dispersed. The risk for America, of course, is that things get bad enough that Xi goes for a Hail Mary and picks a fight over Taiwan. Don't think that happens unless he's backed into a corner, but given the Biden administration's need to distract voters with new wars, China would probably find a willing partner only too happy to squander yet more of America's blood and treasure. A new episode of the Peter St. Onge podcast just went live. Check it out wherever you get your podcasts. Okay, we'll be watching. See you next time.